Her husband,
I've been
she's
there
a
25 years, so.
Oh, have you?
quarantine there.
She was,
She came home.
yeah,
by
she
herself.
was actually a nun
10
also,
days.
St.
Where's
Joseph.
that?
Whatever they were.
And a physical
He
therapist.
stayed in
Hotel room for 10
all
days.
the.
Linda, Sister
For the
Linda.
room,
Okay,
but
Paul, have a seat for me.
Sure.
Everything was already just included.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. First thing I'd like to point out is our fire exits to my left to the store right here, and then the door through which we all came in. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Member Spencer,
Here.
Member Sprata,
Present.
Member Menard,
Present.
Member Yarborough,
Present.
Acting Chairman Delaney.
Present. Legal note.
Please take notice that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Depew will hold a public hearing on December 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the municipal building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York, to consider the application of Gary Costantino on behalf of Catholic Health for the property located at 6199 Transit Road, Depew, New York, 14043 of Chapter 260, Subset 260-34E1, requesting relief from 100 parking space requirement to be allowed 55 parking spaces for a Catholic health facility. A pre-board meeting will begin at 6:30 p.m. in the conference room of the municipal building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York. Any and all persons interested in such application will be heard at this time.
Okay, anyone who wants to be heard on this, please step forward, tell us your name and what you'd like to do.
I'll forward you.
Oh, right to the podium here.
Well, we're hoping for a waiver on the current parking zoning laws of roughly 100 spaces for the building based on medical office, and to reduce it or waive it entirely so that we can utilize what's, the opportunity on the site is 55 spaces in total, or 56, depending if we modify some of the overgrown areas in the back. I have a plan showing all the spaces. There we would, patch, repair, and restripe the lot to the current zoning. But that's basically what we're looking for. We're looking to expand the current infusion clinic by utilizing some of the vacant space in the building, which by your current zoning law doesn't allow us to do that, or wouldn't allow us to do that. So we're looking for a waiver.
Okay. Any of my fellow board members have questions? Member Menard, anything?
No, sir.
Member Strato?
Eventually, you want to take over that entire building, right? That L-shaped building?
Well, currently, we have the vacant, the former restaurant. Just an anecdote, we had a patient in there last week, who said, "I got married here." Because this used to be a restaurant. I didn't know that, by the way. But yeah, we currently, that space was used to be HealthWorks, which was it was a primary care center that looked for disability or pre-employment physicals, and it burnt, and they never went back to the building. We built the infusion center, which was primarily, prior to that, was a St. Joseph Hospital, Sisters Hospital, a physical therapy area that we converted to infusion. Not knowing what the infusion practice would bring, we rented that vacant space. Haven't developed it yet, but we currently pay on it because we felt that we would grow into it. The times being, since 2019, the practice of infusion, cancer, and so forth has grown considerably, and so that space is no longer applicable to the growth in that area. So the other side of the space, which is about roughly 8,400 square feet, we'd like to build an extension to that clinic, to the infusion and exam rooms for patients like that. And so per your zoning ordinance, it wouldn't allow us to do that unless we had a waiver. Makes sense, I guess?
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at.
Anything further, Member Sparta?
Well, you're looking for a variance that calls for 100 spaces, and you've got
If we
a
took
little
the-
over 50.
If I understand the zoning ordinance correctly, if it's a single-use building, we have to provide up to 85% of the gross square footage of the building at 150 square feet per that number, which would take us to about 100 spaces, which we could not ever get. If we released the lease in the vacant space, took the larger space and attached it to our current space, we would need 85%, which reduces it to 95. So let's say we didn't rent that and it would be a dual use of building, we could actually have fewer requirements. So, but ultimately, we'll hold on to that space, to prevent additional traffic on the site. And I'm not saying that should go to record, but basically, whatever most convenient for our patients. And I think in your pre-board meeting, you made a good point, is that traditionally, early in the morning, we would schedule the longer infusions, 2, 3, 4 hours. And in the afternoon, it's the half hours, the turnarounds, the 1 hours.
Yeah.
And they're not all oncology related. A lot of them are vitamins, lead, not lead, I shouldn't say lead, zinc and other natural elements, infusions for people who need it.
Yeah.
So, but we figured that we actually, in full practice, because nothing's going to happen immediately, we can build it. We need to build the practice even further. But it'll take a while to get up to even occupying 54 spaces. And that's our data. That's why it's still feasible to us. And there are 17 spaces in the back, which would be primarily geared towards our staff only. Of course, our staffing there at the height of the practice would be 12 people per day. It's open Monday through Friday. Friday's a slow day just because that's the way patients like it. But basically, if we were running full hilt to our estimation, it'd be 12 staff and then the rotation of patients. And you mentioned that they get dropped off. A lot of them don't drive. They have a caregiver who drops them off. They're Ubered in. So it's not, they're all sitting there all day, the cars. They're moving. There's rotation. So we think it's a viable center for us to expand to, or into.
Yeah, since you don't have the space for 100 cars.
Right.
It's, a lot of it has to do with scheduling, as you mentioned.
Correct.
So I don't see a problem with that unless anybody legal or,
No, I don't have an issue with it. It sounds like the parking rules that we have don't necessarily mesh with the capacity that they're seeing at this infusion center. I see there's only 2 handicap spaces noted. I assume that's ADA compliant. That's not our.
That's compliant to I believe, the current zoning, because it was, I think originally, Plaza Group 1 is the owner of the building. That was built per the, the regulatory requirements at the time for the entire building. So,
Okay.
but we can, but something we can always modify. And a lot of our patients are handicapped, but they're dropped off. We van them in depending on which service they're taking.
right.
Anything further from Member Spencer, Member Yarborough?
Nothing.
Anything from code?
I just want to say, and I don't have the code right in front of me, but you may need a third handicap accessible parking spot, but that's something that's definitely feasible. To add to that, I would say that no matter who took over that other piece of this building, the parking requirements would be inadequate. So I think that what you're asking for is fine.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask about, well, I guess it's a landlord problem, but snow removal with parking spots like this and where it's going to be staged?
The snow?
Snow.
Good question. We have, Plaza Group is the service, they're the
Right.
landlord, they take care of that for us. I don't know if we've had a problem to date. I think it actually goes under the landscaping. They're pushing it there.
Okay.
Or in the back. If it becomes a problem, it would be, I hate to say it, their problem to remove it. That would
No,
be in
you're
their
right.
lease agreement.
Anything further from legal?
No.
Any public comment on this project? Nothing? Okay. So with that, I'm going to read part of your packet that you filled out, the 6 criteria for an area variance in New York, the questions and your answers to them. Number 1, Will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties be created by granting of the area variance? You wrote no, and I would agree. 2, can the benefits sought by you, the applicant, be achieved by some other method other than an area variance? You wrote no, and I would agree. 3, is the requested area variance substantial? Todd, what do you say to that? Seems substantial, but I'm not sure.
They're not really expanding the area, they're just looking for relief from
Yeah.
something that's already there,
Okay.
so I would say no.
I would say it's a no too. Okay. Number 4, will the proposed area variance have an adverse effect or impact the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? You wrote no, pre-existing, and that's true. 5, is the alleged difficulty self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the requested area variance? You wrote no, need variance for parking, no available land to expand parking. And that's true. 6, what is the minimum area variance deemed necessary and adequate? 45 spaces are what we need relief from, requires 100. So you need relief of 45 spaces. Okay. So with that said, we have a motion to grant or deny this variance as presented.
I'll make the motion to grant.
Member Yarborough makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Member Sprata.
Gotta be faster.
Roll call vote, please.
Member Spencer?
Yes.
Member Sprata?
Yes.
Member Menard?
Yes.
Member Yarborough?
Yes.
Acting Chairman Delaney?
Yes.
That is 5 yes, 0 no. Variance approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. May I ask one question? The next step is to go to the town board, or the village board, and is it?
Yes.
You don't need to go to the village board. It's a ceremonial approval of the
Okay,
minutes.
so there won't be any, I would expect no challenge to this at the board. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Chanukah.
Sorry, I'm never gonna live that down.
I already forgot.
Oh, thanks, okay.
Next legal notice.
Please take notice that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Village of Depew will hold a public hearing on December 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the municipal building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York, to consider the application of David Gassiana, architect, on behalf of the property located at 5026 Broadway Street, Depew, New York, 14043, of Chapter 260, subset 260-34E1, requesting relief from 18 parking space requirement to be allowed 14 parking spaces for a takeout restaurant. A pre-board meeting will begin at 6:30 p.m. in the conference room of the municipal building, 85 Manitou Street, Depew, New York. Any and all persons interested in such application will be heard at this time.
Hi, please tell us your name and what you'd like to do.
Good evening. My name is David Giusiana. I'm the applicant and the architect of the project. I'm representing my client, who is the owner of the building and will be the one developing the sushi takeout restaurant in the currently vacant space. It's just that simple. I mean, he bought the building and he wants to put in a sushi restaurant, and just not enough land to do the number of spots or the number of seats and the amount of takeout area. So we're developing the green area in the back to provide additional parking. We'll also provide a place for the location of the dumpster, and it is cited, to answer the village attorney's question, some area for snow piling and such that would allow to go back by basically behind the smoke shop apartment portion of the project. We've done everything we can to maximize the development of the site, to minimize the amount of the variance that we can. The only way to minimize it any greater would be to reduce the amount of seating, and it would at that point become an economic hardship to have so much expense for developing a kitchen and have so few ability to sell his product.
Okay. Any questions from my fellow board members? Member Sprata?
It's an odd-shaped lot and an odd-shaped building on that lot. You want to add parking to the back off of Bloomfield, which is a green space now. And with the upcoming winter, you won't be able to get asphalt if that's what the plans are. Concrete might be an option for expansion. It just, my thoughts on
In
it.
the pre-meeting, before I was still allowed to talk, when we were chatting before, yes, we discussed that we're going to look to see whether, because the asphalt plants, most of the plants are closed, that the idea of doing concrete now. Worst case scenario, we would just stone the lot and then wait till spring to actually physically pave the lot.
So does that mean you're gonna have two entrances for the business? One for the rear parking area and one for the front?
Correct. There are doors to get into both the kitchen portion and the dining portion of the proposal, as well as the apartment from the rear.
But, I mean, for the restaurant itself, it's gonna be accessible for customers from
Yeah.
the two entrances?
Yes.
Rear and front, okay.
Really do envision the proposed lot in the back as more a apartment tenant, the smoke shop's employees, and the restaurant's employees, so that the lion's share of people would really become off Broadway, go in the front doors, get their food, and off they go. So I think it'd be hard to.
But everybody-
I think one of the comments you're going to get from one of the neighbors is to see if we encourage customers using the rear entrance to create some relief off of Broadway. And you can try, but again, how do you tell your customers,
Yeah.
don't park in front, park in back?
Tell me, I'm sorry, are you all done, Paul?
Well, I was gonna add one thing to it, since it's residential next door to that green space lot, which is now, maybe stockade fencing might be a barrier
Absolutely would do that.
for residential.
Certainly.
Okay,
You want to make that contingent part of the approval, then we'd absolutely.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we could add a contingent to that. All right, that's just all the comments I have.
Member Menard, anything for me?
None from me.
Okay, Council, did you want to add something before we?
Yeah, I don't see the apartment on the drawing, but I see it's a two-story building, so is that above the retail?
Correct.
And how many apartments are there?
Just one.
How many tenants?
There's one commercial tenant, one residential tenant, and then the proposed.
So there's
building.
one, I should have phrased my question a little differently. There's one person living in the residential apartment?
I actually can't speak to how many people are up there.
I just, if there's four people sharing the space upstairs and they all have cars, it's a little concerning.
Right, but by the ordinance, we're only required to provide 2 spots per every residence, so.
Right.
And that wasn't calculated into count.
Okay.
Do you have anything further?
No, that was,
Okay.
And again, relative to the language of the approval, I mean, we certainly could say that, the owner of the building could limit the amount of cars, that the tenant could use, on the lot.
right.
Certainly.
Yeah, I was more just, I don't think it's a legal issue. I was more just curious how many tenants live up there and how many cars they have.
Seriously, I don't.
Also, I didn't have a question about snow removal storage, because that is on the plan. Thank you.
The inspections department sort of alerted to me that was going to be a concern, and luckily it worked out, that just the geometry of the weird geometry of the site, and then the natural dimensions of parking spaces, were kind of left over a spot to throw some snow.
Member Yarborough, Member
I
Spencer?
was just going to ask about the fence, but you intend to put a fence up between the parking lot and the rest?
We absolutely will, yeah.
Thank you.
And if there's a 4 foot, 6 foot, whatever, I mean, whatever you want to say, let's.
I'd maybe make that a condition of your approval.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you want it to be an opaque fence, so then any car lighting in the lot won't shine into the adjacent.
Yeah, by
Correct.
code, you have to have at least a 6-foot privacy fence.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. So.
Member Spencer, anything?
No, I think pretty much covered everything.
Anything from code?
No, I don't think 4 parking spaces is like really gonna make or break this one. I would wanna make sure that every employee has a parking space. Depending on in the future how busy this place gets, you might even have to, put some signage up saying, if 15 minutes you know, that way nobody's lingering or
Sure, yeah.
stuff like that,
Absolutely.
you know. But other than that, I don't have a problem with this.
Sam, council, did you have anything further?
No, just, you know, if there's 4 cars for tenants, as you said, that's what the code requires, right?
Two for the
Two.
apartment,
Two
two.
there, and do we have any data on how many employees work in the sushi restaurant? Is it a 1 or 2 person
It'd be
establishment?
2, maximum 3.
Okay, all right, then no, I don't have any further questions.
Any public comment on this proposal? Please step forward, tell us, to the podium, tell us your name.
My name's Eric Willard. I live 2 doors down from there on Bloomfield. So, couple of concerns I had just getting the information in the mail was that Broadway in that spot is really tough. I'm sure you guys go down Broadway there. How the traffic narrows down, a lot of tractor trailers go through there, and they bully the cars. So, but that being said, I'm very encouraged by a new business coming in there. I really want to see a business thrive there. I didn't realize that parking would be in the back, so that's kind of cool. I don't know what the design of the new place is, but if there's going to be parking there, I guarantee you're going to have problems with the cars that go to the bars at the corner wanting to go in there to park. And they might hang out there all night long as well. So, yeah, some kind of signage or
Yeah,
something
for
to
sure,
encourage
especially
cars.
because the parking at Margie's is very limited.
There's very limited, and that's going to take away street parking from them. So, which is fine. There's plenty of street parking. People don't like to go up the side streets to park, but there's a lot of side street parking available. People really want to go to those places. So, but yeah, the fence idea is really good. I like that because my neighbors next door, they're easygoing people. They're really not.
You're the next house over, not
Correct.
right next
Yes.
to them.
Yeah. So everything sounds good. I appreciate you guys looking out for the neighbors, though. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Good luck, David. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so, yes,
Good. Where do you live? Right here? I'm sorry, Kevin Peterson, 54 Babette.
Sure.
can we check this guy out?
Just want to make sure that's his house there.
Right.
And there's another house here, right?
Correct.
And then this is yours?
Correct. And then this is, they were talking about developing additional parking. That was all
Oh,
just
why, this would be gone or something?
Is this okay, by the way? Normally you have to address the.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my balance here.
Okay.
They work for me anyway.
It's okay.
He's the mayor.
He's the mayor. He's the boss. He's the mayor.
I just know that.
I understand that, but the zoning board of appeals is an appellate court.
Yeah.
It's not really part of the town.
Very true.
I'm asking a question as, because Bloomfield's got one side parking. We dealt with one side parking.
Is it alternate?
No, there's signage, I thought it was, to help with that traffic that goes down there to Winona, where they had to put in stop signs,
Yeah.
because of the rollover accidents and so forth.
Parkable sites.
And for thinking back, and I don't know if you all were there at the time, I always thought we had a neighbor, and he lives 2 doors down from it. There's another house right there. I thought there was always issues with dumpster. I know it's before your time too, Kate.
Yeah, I'm not privy to that one.
And then where are you putting the fence then, right there?
Along that property line.
Yeah.
Correct. And the
And
thing is, the
what
dumpster would be, I don't do have a site plan that shows the dumpster would be against that, away from it.
Would it be easier if you just looked at one of these?
Yeah, probably. I thought it might be up on the board.
So the house you're talking about is here, his house is farther over here. So,
Oh, okay.
Well, that's where the restaurant will be, and that's where we're talking about putting the dumpster off the property line.
Okay.
And we'll fence all the way up to there.
Okay, I got you.
So we're creating 5 parking spots in the back and 1 area for dumpster.
Gotcha. And then you have 3 up here, plus these?
Correct. And those are all existing.
Okay. And the apartment was, you're thinking, 1 apartment, so.
But I know for sure it's 1 apartment. I can't speak to how many people live
Yeah,
there.
regardless how many people are in there,
It's just the one
it's just by apartment, and it's 2 per apartment.
Right.
So they did have 4 people and 4 cars. It'd be a problem, but it's not something that has to be addressed today.
Right.
Right, okay. All right, thanks,
Thank you.
I do have one now that you talk about it.
thanks.
How wide is the driveway cut? Significant? The driveway cut on the Bloomfield side? It says shows 75 feet of frontage, so
And
that's,
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. That would be a typical 22-foot wide.
so you're really not losing much on-street parking anyway, so maybe one car length, so it's
Yeah.
not an issue for taking anything away from on-street parking on that street.
And right now, this is actually a driveway itself, so we could actually take that out, so there would
Okay.
essentially be no net
Right,
loss.
that's what I'm saying. Because I just parked behind her the other night when I went to another establishment.
Okay. So if we're all clear on all that. I'm going to read the portion of the packet you filled out that lists the 6 criteria for an area variance in New York, the questions and your answers to them. Number 1, will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties be created by granting of the area variance? You wrote no, commercial green, so this is in keeping with the neighborhood. And I would agree. Number 2, can the benefits sought by you, the applicant, be achieved by some other method other than an area variance? You wrote no, attempts were made to acquire more land but not economically viable. Okay, and that's true. Number 3, is the requested area variance substantial? You wrote no, parking requirements can almost be met, and if this wasn't a food use, no variance would be required. That's true. Number 4, will the proposed area variance have an adverse effect or impact the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? You wrote no, building is existing, so no physical or visual change to the district will occur. And that's true. Number 5, is the alleged difficulty self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the requested area variance? You wrote no, the building and property are existing. That's true. 6, what is the minimum area variance deemed necessary and adequate? And it's, the relief is needed for 4 spaces. Okay, I see. All right. So, with the condition that you're going to put up a fence, and where specifically, and if you want to, does it matter if it's, what kind of height requirement there is?
It's gotta be a 6-foot, at least a 6-foot privacy fence to shield the residential
Okay.
from the commercial parking lot.
So, condition that a 6-foot fence is put up, do we have a board member to grant or deny this variance as presented?
I make a motion to approve the variance with the stipulation of the fence.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by member Menard, seconded by member Yarborough. Roll call vote, please.
Member Spencer?
Yes.
Member Sprata?
Yes.
Member Menard?
Yes.
Member Yarborough?
Yes.
Acting Chairman Delaney?
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no. Variance approved.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Motion to close the hearing?
So moved?
I make a
Member
motion
Spencer,
that we,
do you have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Seconded by member Spada. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.